Nadia, hi.
Hey, what's up?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, if, for example, hypothetically, like not gonna happen, but hypothetically, you had to go back to a dating market or like start dating again, what would you do now times?
Okay. You see, like, even hypothetically, it's kind of hard for me to think about it because I have no idea. I've been off the market for so long that I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I know kids these days, right? Because I talk to younger people and they're all on like dating sites, but I wouldn't even know which one to go to.
Today we have a very interesting podcast, very unusual podcast. We have a very unusual guest. And our show is Queens with Accents. It's always girls. It's always accents. Today we have a king. We have king, and no accent. It's American accent today. So it's a very unusual accent, but he is going to give us insights into the dating world from the male point of view, from a male perspective. His name is Sean. He was married for 24 years. He has 3 kids. And after 24 years, he is back on the market. And so let's see how is it going for him right now. You ready?
We'll figure it out.
Let's invite Sean in the studio.
Hey guys,
Okay.
how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Sean.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you both. How are you?
Good, good. And
Are you guys ready? Are
we're
you
very
ready?
ready.
Oh, it's interesting out there. I heard your guest speak about that she hasn't been on the market for so long she didn't even know where to start. So I'm a plethora of information.
She's still married. And
Oh,
hopefully she's
Hopefully
going
we'll
to stay
stay
married.
married, right? Hope that's the plan. But yeah,
Because
hypothetically, if something happened, what would I do? Like honestly, I have no idea.
right.
and please tell us more about yourself, because I just gave, I said you were married for amount of time, but what you're eligible bachelor, so right now, so
I
what,
am.
your ex model, right?
Yes, yes. That's many, many moons ago when the
Many
hair was
moons ago.
the hair was black. That's how long ago that was. But it was, yeah, it was a fun life. Right out of university, I got found by Elite, and I became the Hugo Boss model for 4 years. So I did that and got to travel the world and learned a bunch of languages. And obviously, that was an interesting dating scene, being on the international side, because I had only dated American women before that. So I got to see the world and date from every perspective as well. So it was fun. Good,
That's
good
pretty cool,
times.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
that was before the internet, right? So imagine
Oh yeah.
now internet just opened up doors and you can talk to anyone across the globe. But before it was kind of like if you, until unless you actually go somewhere, right? You open yourself up to those possibilities. It was harder to meet people.
I thought, well, I like it better that way anyway, and I still do. I like the traditional approach, meeting people, feeling people's energy. For me, it's all about the energy. I don't particularly like the dating sites. They're accessible and they're highly used. So I am on one. I got on it because my nephew put it on my phone. I didn't even ask
Oh,
for it.
that's how it went.
So he had kind of, oh no, Uncle Sean, this one's a good one. They're normal women for the most part. You'll like it. You talk to them a little bit, and if you guys like each other, then you go out on a date. So, I went on, and I've been on a
Which
lot
one
of
is that? Which one is that? Promote.
Hinge,
Hinge. Okay.
and I've been on a lot of first dates and very few second dates. Probably in 2 years of dating through the site, I've probably been out with two gals more than two times. Um,
Uh-huh.
a lot of the ladies are nice, but you got to talk and then you got to go meet them anyway. Where when we were young, you met face to face and you could already feel the energy. So when you asked somebody out, you knew you kind of liked them already. You had to get to know somebody, but you already had a good feeling. Where the I don't feel like you feel that through the dating sites.
Right.
Um,
But then also, don't you feel like the world kind of changed a little bit to where we're more aware of like the potential threats, and women kind of feel a little bit safer to talk to someone on, like through the app first before
yeah.
going out and meeting people?
Do you really think it's that much more dangerous now than it was then? I don't. I just think you know what happens in Africa, and you think it's happening here in Florida. That's the
No,
internet.
probably not.
Yeah, done to us. We're just so aware of everything that's going on in the world. We're hypersensitive. But yeah, I think some women are more comfortable because it's a process anyway. But what I don't like too, I've had some gals that I've gone out with. We had a really nice date, and they act like they're into it or happy with what's going on, and then next thing you know, it's called ghosting, and they're gone. So it's a lot of strangeness going on. I think with the internet, I think women are approached by hundreds of men at any time. So it's hard to even speak to more than 2-3 people at one time. And how are you going to get to know them? You can't. And some of these women put these amazing videos on and all these pretty pictures of themselves, and they have hundreds of men at the same time courting them. I don't love it, to be honest.
But what I also heard that there's like more, not heard, but I saw the statistics, and there's more men on those sites than women, just because of the safety and what are people are looking for. Like women look more for a relationship, and men most times they look more for like fun, right? Probably, you tell me.
Well, you fill out the guidelines, so you have a profile. So your profile will say what type of relationship you're looking for. So
yeah, but is it true? Is it true though? What men put in that profile, is it mostly true, or is it? Let them think that way.
Fishing.
Yeah. Same for the woman. Yeah. Some of the women put looking for short-term relationship. And then what's crazy is you'll have a woman that'll come into Florida and post and act like she lives here, but she lives in Chicago or California, and she's only here for vacation.
Why would they do that?
Because they want to meet men for the week, and they want to get taken out to dinner and have fun.
Oh, they just want to eat?
Yeah.
We have a term in this for this in Russian. It's called тарелочница. It's what would be like plater? Like a plater.
Yeah, it's someone who just goes on a date for a
we actually have a term for this, who would just go to on a date to eat. Which is, for me, it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like time wasting, but people are like that. But we're going to go in depth for all of these, like green flags and how the dates are going. But thinking back in those days, right? When you were younger, I was younger, even Nadia, who is like 15, still was younger. And you would go outside, right? And women probably like flip like left and right, just looking at you. And it was so easy to find any kind of relationship for you, right? In those days. So you got married. You were married for 24 years. And now you're back.
And I'm back.
How is it? How that changes for you, like emotionally and psychologically, to be back? Do you feel excited? Do you feel doomed? Like how did you even step back on this stage? How did you say, oh, I don't want to date, or I want to date, I need it?
You asked a lot of questions there.
I know it's a lot of questions in one. Yeah.
So when I first got here, I called it the Forrest Gump walk. I spent every day on the beach. I walked 9 miles every day on the sand, and I just thought and meditated and got my mind back. And as I got myself back together, I immediately started looking to date people. It wasn't hard because I had owned restaurants and bars, so I was always very social anyway. So being social wasn't hard for me at all. It's knowing what you want, and that you got to figure out, and that takes a little bit of time. But to me, it's still the energy. It's all about energy for me. And then the energy's there, the chemistry and the energy's there. Then it morphs into a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a true relationship or nothing. I went on one day. I feel guilty to this day. What happened? This gal was beautiful. She was sweet. She was nice, but she had this voice. And we went for coffee. I didn't even make it through a half a cup of coffee. And I said, this isn't going to work. I was very, very honest with her. I said, you're going to say something. I know me. I'm a guy from New York. I have short patience. I said, I'm going to get mad and I'm going to say something. You're going to cry and it's going to be over. I said, let's just end it now. And she looked at me. She goes, well, thank you for being honest. And we walked out the door and it was good. So for me, a yes is always great, but a quick no is almost as good, because, like you said, at our age, I don't want to waste time.
No, that's
Yeah.
great. I think it's great again that you were honest, right? And you were able to kind of identify and be like, nope, this is not it. We're not going there. But from the woman's perspective, like you said, there's an example where you feel like the date is going well, everything's fine, but then you get ghosted, right? I feel like from the woman's standpoint, a lot of the times we're brought up to kind of please whoever we're talking to, and that's why, and again, it could be cultural too. I would be inclined to like sit through the whole thing, right? Kind of like smile politely and go through the motions and then like not talk to the person versus just say, outright be like, I'm sorry, this is not working, bye. Because this is something in my head, it's something rude and it's something that could hurt a person.
Mhm.
Same here. Yeah.
Right? So like I would be like, okay. In my head, I'd be screaming and like trying to like wanting to leave every second. But outside, I'd be like, yes, and like just to go through it and then not talk to the person. Because again, different perspectives, I guess, and a little bit of like what's considered polite or what's considered a good thing to do or what's considered a respectful thing to do is a
I
little.
think respectful is being honest. Not,
No, that's great. And again, like I do agree with you, right? But again, putting myself in that spot, I would probably make myself sit through the whole thing because
yeah.
I would think the other person would get hurt if I would just, up and said, I'm sorry, it's not for me, bye.
Did you explain to her what happened? Because, like, for me, I would appreciate the feedback. Because I ghosted, I have to tell you, because after first day, sometimes I ghosted, and I was ghosted back as well, and none of us know, like, what exactly happened. Not me, not that person. So, like, I would appreciate some feedback, like what went wrong, and maybe you can give the just more input about it besides just her voice didn't work. What are other like red flags? And considering our history, your long marriage, my long marriage, obviously we have more red flags than normal, right? Than normal people who like at 20 just started dating. Yeah. So like everything basically a red flag sometimes. So what it would be like besides like, some you didn't like her look, you didn't like her voice, energy, but what else, like what kind of signs would she give for you to like say no, it's not gonna work, she's a bad person or something like that? Even she's nice, she's nice, energy is here, face is there, but you feel like something doesn't, well, maybe it doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Men, if you really break a man down, he's very, very simple. So there's going to be a simple attractions usually right out of gate. But for me, it even comes down to smell. Like I have to, like I'm attracted to a scent.
Yes.
Okay.
The way a woman carries herself, the way she dresses, her makeup. I was in the fashion industry obviously for 20 years, so I'm very attentive to even their shoes, their nails, their hair, the eyes, the whole nine.
Oh my
But
god.
for me, it's well,
My
you're
nails
short.
are good.
There you go. So it's a package, and then it's truly an energy. And for me, I mean, there's for me to truly be in a real relationship, I have to be very sexually attracted to a person and compatible, because that's very important. Especially, I think it's important to all men, but it's very important to me. So, and then I want somebody who's a feminine, but also intelligent and can carry herself in a room and be classy and just be a good companion, like a partner.
But talking about partners, are you considering getting married again or you just want a relationship that
I would get married again, but it's going to be very, very specific, if it ever happens. But I'm in no rush. I am looking to date. Like I say, I'm dating with intention, right? I have true intentions to find somebody that I want to be with. Um, but like I said, I'm here 2 years. I made it past 2, 3 dates with maybe two people since I've been here. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
it's tough out there, you see?
Well, it's
Yeah.
Florida, South
It-
Florida is a different culture than New York and New Jersey. And I find there's a different motive of the women down here than there kind of is in the North. Um, I still feel like being introduced to somebody through a friend or family is definitely the best way to meet somebody. I feel that's really good. Both people feel safe going out, and no matter what, they're going to show some respect and at least end it on a nice basis because they have mutual friends or family in common. But that's, I
Yeah.
think, still my favorite way to meet people.
But it's so difficult though nowadays to meet people this way. And like for me, like people introduced me to a lot of people, a lot of men, and I stopped it. And I stopped it actually because when it didn't work, I feel like obligated. When they introduce me to someone, I feel like obligated to go ahead with that person. And I didn't like the person from like the first time. And I'm like, oh my god, they tried and it didn't work.
But that's why being
So
honest is the best way. You look them in the eye. So you're a very
yeah.
nice man. I had a nice time with you. It's just I just don't have that feeling, and I really appreciate it. I mean, he's not going to be happy about it if he likes you, but it's the truth. So he can't be mad, and
Right.
and he's not wasting time.
Yeah.
I got to ask you guys a question, right? And I've seen it happen where women over time become friends with a man, and then they fall in love, and it develops, and it's very very the opposite for a man with a woman. It's
Mhm.
total opposite.
Yeah. It's actually more often for women than for men. For men, it could be like you said, it could be just an energy, a smile. And the men, what from I've heard, and you confirm it, men know, like from the first few seconds, if this person is going to work or not. With me, women, no, it's not clear at all. We could hate the guy from the beginning and could hate him for like long period of time, and then we fall in love. And it comes from actions. Like if a woman feels safe, protected, she has fun with this person, and his actions speak louder than his words, she develops. And I know about myself the same. The feelings just develop out of nowhere, and they weren't there yesterday, but today I like feel warmer
Right.
and
And women
warmer.
also, I want to add to that. Women also are a little bit more forgiving as far as like the looks go, right? Like
Absolutely.
we can forgive certain physical attractiveness if, again, like you said, right, if a person makes us feel a certain way, if a person makes us feel protected, taken care of, that we're not being threatened. And like a threat in a woman's world is very different than a threat in a man's world.
Yeah, it's very
Women,
fluid. Yeah.
women get afraid of everything, and it doesn't have to be like a physical threat. You don't have to yell at a person to, for a woman to start being afraid, which is so weird. And sometimes I do feel that, I feel that fear, and in my head I'm like, that person didn't do anything. Like,
It's
why
a
am
gut
I?
feeling. Definitely gut feeling.
It's more of a like a situational versus like something very like in the air, more instinctual rather than an actual threat, right? And it's super easy to make a woman scared, super easy out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And right, and if that feeling is present, a woman will never be attracted to that guy who's making her feel scared, because
Yeah.
it's not gonna work.
Yeah, that comfortable feeling inside your stomach that men can bring, that cannot be changed for anything. That's nothing compares to this. When women feel safe and comfortable with this guy, and that's it. It's like, this is my guy, this is my man.
There's this
Especially if woman is feminine.
Yeah, that's for sure. There is this
Yeah.
guy, he's a psychologist. He's a family psychologist, very, very popular in the Russian speaking world because he speaks Russian, he lectures, he, gathers like whole like auditoriums of people who listen to him, who follow him. And he basically tells women, because most of his customers are women, most of his clients are women, he says, you should not sleep with a man, kiss a man, even like as much as like holding hands is also like questionable up until about a year into a relationship, right? And which a lot of
Yeah.
men are like, yeah, like that's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
And
No way.
the reason why for him, that's what he says. He says you cannot build a relationship from 2 dates, 3 dates, whatever, however many dates. He says you need to build a relationship over time. And then after about 6 months to a year, this is when a woman can 100% say, yes, I want a relationship with that person or not. Whereas what happens is we majority, right, myself included, like with my husband, we rush into things, and then we get physical, and then we get quote unquote used to each other, but instead of actually deeply getting to know each other, we're just like going with the flow. And then like a year later into like even moving in together or whatever, we kind of feel like, oh, I made a wrong choice. And then, people go apart.
What happens if you take that whole year and then you make love and it's horrible?
Well, so that's what a lot of, yeah, people ask him the
Not
same.
working for me.
So what he says is that basically we're all compatible.
No.
He says that basically we are all compatible.
No
Yeah,
way.
he's wrong. He's wrong.
No way.
But that's his thing, right? He says basically we're all compatible, and it doesn't really matter as long as you're a man and you're a woman. Physiologically, it should fit. That's what he says.
I think also, well, if you're 20, you can do this. Like, you're probably willing to wait for a year. If you're like over 40, like, why would you you don't have all these years ahead of you, and you had so much experience behind your shoulders. You probably, I don't think it's possible.
Well,
But what do you think, Sean? Yeah. Oh,
right?
so yeah, sorry.
But his
Go
his
ahead.
thing is that he's saying that if we're not building a relationship first before getting physical, that's what he says is breaking the relationship in the end. So he's like, you need to build a relationship first, and then you build a physical relationship. Because he says that's why a lot of like marriages don't work, a lot of relationships don't work for that same reason.
Well, I'm very interested in Sean's opinion about it, because I've heard a lot. Like, if you have sex with someone the first day, the date, basically the man is not going to have serious relationship with you. And
That
is
too,
it
right?
true?
That too.
Yeah. Like there
I
are
don't
so
think
many
so.
like opinions and stuff, and how long you are willing to wait, and what it really is involved in this, like in the physical aspect of relationship in the long term.
I always think it's about the person, and it takes time to get to know somebody no matter what. But I don't want to take 6 months or a year and then wind up in bed with them, and it's horrible. I'd never do it that way. I would never do it that way. Sex is as much a part of the relationship for a man as every other part. And I'm not saying jump into bed with them right away. You can. I don't think most men at our age you're not going to say, oh, I'm not going to be with this person because she had sex with me on the first date. If the compatibility was there, the spontaneity was there, if all the stars aligned and it was magical, it's going to be awesome. And that's not going to change a guy's mind to go out with you again. I mean, if all those things aligned right. If you didn't have the compatibility and you just had sex with him and had sex with him, he's going to question that. But if you went out and you had a beautiful date, and next thing you know, you started a drink, now you're dinner, now you're dancing. Next thing you know, you're watching the moonlight, and you're making out on the beach, and it leads to sex. I don't think the man's going to have a problem with it, as long as it felt right and it was right.
Well, don't you think that's what some men say? That she probably just sleeps around. If she slept with me so fast, she probably does it with other men, and I don't want to have long-term relationship with this person.
Yeah, you can question everything, guys. There's 9 billion people in the world, right? So what about the girl that has already slept with 1,000 men, and now she's acting like she's never been with anybody, and she's holding out on you, and 3 months later, you're in love with her, you had sex with her, and then you find out she's been with 1,000 men. How's that feel?
Will it stop you?
Yeah,
if you found out this information, is it like you won't like it?
Yeah.
If she slept with someone, no.
All right. So
here we go.
Let's dig deeper into that. What is the limit? What is the number?
That's a hard question.
That's allowed and that's not allowed.
Well, remember too, we start dating at what, 14, 15, 16. So if you've been with a lot of men by the time you're 21, that's pretty bad. But if you're 50 and you've been single for 40 years, 35 years, even if you had one man a year, it's 35 men, So I think it depends on how old you are and the circumstances you've been in. I mean, if you got married at 19 and you've been with more than a few guys, then that's a problem. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you don't like it. Okay.
No, I prefer a woman that has not been promiscuous. Yes, that's my answer.
Okay, so this is the answer. All right. So listen, there's a funny video I saw it's on TikTok about dating, and I think it was from a millennial guy or an older Gen Z. So the video was rummaging about going on the app, and he said, I spent so much time on these apps. I talk to this person, then you have to invite her for coffee. Sometimes you even have to pay for that coffee, and you know what, you do through all these loops, and there's still no sex. Like, you have to actually, have another date after that with her. Can you imagine all this time? I just want to have sex. So a lot of younger guys, they use these apps just for hookups.
Well,
He was so genuinely upset, and comments were the same way.
So the women do the same. Remember, I own bars and restaurants, and I watched the Tinder explosion happen in front of me. And I could say, oh, here's another Tinder date. You'd see two strangers walk in. Half the time they'd walk out together, half the time they didn't. But they were there because two mutual consenting adults would go on this app to meet just to have sex. I didn't appreciate it personally. I never went on it. I wouldn't go on it. I don't have any interest. For me to want to be with somebody sexually, I have to have the compatibility and the energy, or I have no interest, especially at my age. When you're younger girls, 14 to even maybe 30, the other head speaking for the other head. I mean, it's chemistry, it's chemical, it's hormones. Sometimes you can't.
So it was different those days, not like now for you, right?
I'm a 55-year-old man. I know what I like. I told you, if I don't like the way you look, the way you yourself, the way you speak, the way you give respect, the way you smell, I don't want to have sex with you. I have no interest.
Yeah, there are so many blogs right now on sites, and so many different things on the people's profile that were in anybody's mind before that. Like, for example, people put on their profile, I was vaccinated, or I never was vaccinated. And people like put their political views right now. It's basically every second profile is a political views. And for me as an immigrant, and probably for Nadia, because we're not involved in politics as much as like Americans do, even though maybe Nadia were younger here when she came here. So this changes the scene. This is not about vibe anymore or compatibility. That's a political.
A lot of people think that compatibility also comes from views. Like, what are your views on life, right? In general. So I
wasn't like that.
It probably wasn't, but now I can see how it can play a role. For me, what's interesting is that there's new rules, or at least I was not privy to the rules. Like, for example, you can't text a person for like this amount of time, otherwise you look desperate. Or you can't do certain things because otherwise you look a certain way. How do you go about like figuring out those rules? Nobody tells you those rules.
I still have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know when I'm supposed to text, when I'm not supposed to text. Do I supposed to get hard to get, or do I, supposed to be easy? Like, being yourself, obviously, is the best option. But in the man's point of view, in the man's perspective, if the woman texts you good morning every time, every day, what do you feel? Like she's desperate, or like what? In that terms.
Let's go back to go forward. So it saves you time, and it weeds people out quicker. So from the political standpoint, I do like the pronouns and the profiles, because it does give me some insight on who that person is a little bit more. And then again, I'm a different person. I believe in authenticity first and foremost. So if a woman likes me and she's saying good morning to me, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's nice. I want to feel appreciated. The problem is, guys, is you're using a lot of these questions in too broad of a category or a demographic. So we went to my mind, it was almost hell on earth with the way these kids were having sex. Having sex meant nothing. There was a whole generation, and those kids are right now about 35, 35, maybe 40. That whole
millennials, yeah.
They just hooked up. They didn't care. They didn't even have to know your name. It was like the 60s, free love all over again. It was crazy. So, if you speak to that generation, it's going to be a whole different set of rules and a whole different set of answers. If you see now, we're swinging back. So my kids are in their 20s, their early 20s, and I think they're much more conservative than even I was in the 80s and 90s. So it's pretty interesting. I'm proud of my kids, and I'm proud of they're genuine, they're honest, they're sweet, they're direct. I almost think they're a little naive at some points too. It's interesting. So,
Yeah.
but
What advice would you give to your daughter or your daughters if they decided to go on a dating app?
thank God my one daughter's had two boyfriends in her whole life, and she's been with this kid who I like very much. He goes to Browning, plays football. He treats her like a queen. So they've been together since 4 years now. So I'm very, very happy with that. My other daughters had one boyfriend, and now she's at school. I don't. I think because of their social surroundings, that my kids will never have to go on an app because they're very active and they're social and they have a lot of friends. So I don't think they
But
would.
if hypothetically,
I just hope they go on the right app and do the right thing and represent themselves properly in a mature, healthy, respectful manner.
what questions like mandatory for like what the few first questions you would ask on a date and what the answer you want to get for those questions?
Well, definitely, where do you live?
Where do you
Yeah,
live? Okay.
I think proximity to really date somebody. You want to be close enough where it's not torturous to get to them. You know,
Right.
that's I just and I think to really really be with somebody, if you're really dating somebody exclusively and you really like them, you're going to want to see each other at least 3 times a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big question for me. I don't, I don't want to travel more than a half hour. I mean, I guess I would if I really fell in love with somebody. Of course I would, but I wouldn't want that. I don't think age is a big thing. I think profession it has something to do with it, and then really past experience, history, and what their current and future goals are. Like, where do they want to be in life? Where have they been? And then you'll see if they're compatible with your ideas, and then where do you both want to go? And
Do
then
you
goes.
get
Mm-hmm.
do you get put off if a woman is too driven? Like,
When a woman loses her femininity and
mhm.
gets into a masculine, yes, it's a put off. I would think to almost any man, unless he's a submissive. But I like a strong woman, but I like a strong woman who knows how to still be a woman and be feminine. But I don't get upset, especially in work, when a woman says something like a man would. I have no problem with it.
Can you explain a little bit more about that? Because this is
Yeah.
we had this conversation with Natasha
Yeah.
before. We
Mm-hmm.
had that conversation about how it's so difficult. It's so difficult in this world to keep being feminine when you're on a daily, even hourly matter, you're being asked to make decisions, and you're
Mhm.
being asked to make decisions like a man.
Mhm.
And you're demanded by the world to stay alive. You need to really like become a man, and in some instances. So it's really hard to keep yourself, oh, I'm a woman, I'm like reminding yourself of that. What for you, what does that femininity translate to?
Look at President Trump's women around him, and that's the perfect example of what a professional woman should be. They're dressed well, they're classy, but they're still women. They still put on their makeup properly. They're clean. Their hair's taken care of. They got a nice outfit on. But then they can speak like a man when they're making their presentations. And then you'll see them go off camera or whatever, and then they're smiling and they're a woman immediately. That to me is the biggest turn on in the world. I mean, to have a woman who's got the sense of herself and can be that professional and be that intelligent, and then boom, turns around and then she's just a woman again. I love it. It's fabulous.
But what does she do? Like it's not all about looks because everyone can look, and they put their makeup and hairdo and nice clothes and still be, like I've been single for, so even in my marriage, I felt like I was single because I had to do everything myself. So I don't even know where there is a line where like I think I'm feminine, but at the same time, I've done everything myself. So it's not for me, it's not all about makeup. it's like what I do, what I speak. I told Nadia many times, like we go to a restaurant and I'm like, I'm the one who's making orders, and it seems like it's not really girl-like. It's not very feminine of me.
You're doing that on your date, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good.
See, I didn't even know that, because I always the one who places order because I'm out with my kids, and with my ex, like I did everything. I got used to it.
I'd stick some sushi in your mouth if you did that, if you were out with me.
If people didn't tell me this, I wouldn't even know. Like I would consider it's because I do it all the time. It's normal. See, but now I hear it's not really its masculine part. What other things, like what other characteristics that instantly will put like a green flag for you there and the whole and say, oh no, that energy is very masculine. I'm not gonna be, I cannot compete with this person.
I think you can tell when a woman is, and sometimes they're insecure and they're overcompensating compared to if that's truly who they are and it's genuine. And if it is, you can't get mad at the woman. It just might not work for you. Some men are going to love it. They really are. They say there's an ass for every toilet seat, right?
Yeah, that's my question. What are those signs? Because obviously I want, a masculine guy. What do I change in myself to actually attract a masculine guy and not a submissive man? I don't want a submissive man. I don't want to be this, driving force of the family or the relationship.
Well, I have the benefit of meeting you a couple times socially at a friend's house, right? We've done some functions together, so I think you handle yourself very ladylike.
Okay.
So I don't think you should change that. I just think you know who you are, and you have to find hopefully you find a gentleman that appreciates those characteristics. That's what you want. I mean, the goal is the compatibility, right? And what I found, we're at where we're at today because of the 70s and that transition of equal rights and power and glass ceiling and how it's all evolved to where we are now, right? But women think all the time, I need all this stuff from a man, and they forget what the man needs from them. And there'll be a list of 30 things that this woman wants from a man, and a man's only looking for 3 or 4 things. Men are simple.
Tell us.
They're simple.
Okay.
Simple. Respect, love, caring, sex. And, under the respect comes a lot of categories. Did you cook for him? Did you say thank you when he held the door open for you?
Appreciation.
Yeah. Men just want, they're like a dog. They want to be petted. The dog wags his tail when you pet him and you say, good boy. In a sense, that's how simple it is. Hey, babe, I'd love to go to dinner next week to that favorite restaurant. Well, guess what? The guy went, he made the reservations, he brought you, paid for it. You say thank you, and you let him know how he heard you.
And you pray. That is exactly what that psychologist is saying. Even though you didn't agree with him about having a really long relationship before getting physical, but that's exactly what he's saying about men. He says, yes, men only need one thing from a woman, is the femininity. Because he says these days we can order the food or we can cook for ourselves. We can, either hire someone to clean our house or clean the house ourselves. We don't really need a woman to do that for us. What we really need is the femininity, which translates more into appreciation and making a man feel like a man. That's what his whole lectures are literally about that.
There you go. I agree 100%.
And you really appreciate that. I heard you said that actual attributes of a feminine woman, like nice hair. And it seems like women are going in a very different direction, right? The young girls, the sweatpants, Crocs, hair sticking in all directions and all of that. And is it a part of why the younger generation have very hard time right now to find relationship, that men become more feminine and the girls they don't know even, what category they belong to?
I think this is the problem with it all. Okay.
Yeah.
They're so distracted. So again, I'm fortunate enough to have 3 healthy 20-year-old kids, and their phone, I was with them for 8 hours. their phone did not stop buzzing the entire time. So they're overwhelmed. They're not over energized.
Overstimulated. Yeah,
They're
overstimulated.
overstimulated. Yeah, and it's tough. So I find the kids, those younger ones, are going backwards. So they're going back to conservatism more. They're not dating like they used to. They're bringing back old school morals, spending more time with their friends, a lot of time with
Mm-hmm.
their friends. So like my daughters with their girlfriends, my son with his buddies. You know what I mean? So I'm watching and witnessing that with my kids. But again, that generation. That's why I think you guys can really tweak the podcast to generations and generational questions, and really
Mm-hmm.
target those questions and find those answers predicated on those age ranges, because we're all
Yeah.
very different. We're well. I don't. You weren't born here, but I'm closer to the guys from World War II and all the way down to maybe that Korean War. I get along with that age range very, very well. But then some other people are going to get along better with the Vietnam veterans and those hippie generations, right? So that's also a personal opinion or
Yeah.
feel or energy or however you're going to approach it. But I just think the answers are going to be very, very different. Every 10 years, you're talking to somebody.
But still somewhere there's a base for what men are looking for, no matter what their age is, no matter what they say. It still
Yeah, and
probably will be.
it's what we just spoke about, and what Nani just said.
Yeah.
The psychiatrist. It really comes down to appreciation, respect, love, caring, and sex. That's it.
Yeah.
It's very,
There
very
is.
it sounds easy. It's not, because for me, it all stems from the energy. If I can't have that energy, giving and coming, go both ways, I'm not going to date that person. So, and
Yeah.
then the relationship develops because you've now spent a lot of time with that person. You've gotten to know the person. So now the energy's already set the stage, right? This is kind of how I do it. Your energy sets the stage, so you know you are compatible, that you want to go out with this person. Whether it turns
Mm-hmm.
into a friendship, nothing, or a real relationship, you'll figure that out, because you'll go on, probably 6, 10, 12 dates by the time you figure that out. It takes
Yeah.
time to really get to know somebody.
Okay, there's a subject that we cannot skip. We have to talk about it because it's always calls for huge debates. People talk about it, they always talked about it. Who pays on dates? Who pays on the first date? Do you split the bill? How do you feel about the woman who, want to pay or doesn't want to pay? Does she do you look for like her asking at least to pay on the day? Because no matter where you ask this question, it's always provokes conversations and arguments and fights and all of that. And generations also changes. How does it change for different generations as well?
hmm I'm a big believer on who asks who out should pay.
Mm-hmm.
However, I found in New York and New Jersey, women are much more apt to pay, or to at least offer. I've been here 2 years. I've had one woman pay for anything, even a glass of water on any date. I've had probably two women offer to pay. So that's it in 2 years. So again, I think because of where we are in 2025, I think if if a woman asks a man out, I personally think she should pay, but the man should at least say, "No, I got it," or split it. And then I think
Mm-hmm.
once a relationship gets to a certain point, you're probably going to be living together or married anyway. So it's our money, right? Goes right back to that. So who cares who pays at that point? Um, but it's been very strange for me here. Like women, like even if they ask you out, they expect you to pay for in my circumstances. But I was out with
Mm-hmm.
these guys the other day. They were all 42 to 44, and they're like, "No, if the woman asks me out, she's paying." They were adamant about it. This is our rules. This is how we operate, and that was their age
Okay.
range. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, I think it's
Life
the
has changed.
but here's my son. He went out on a date the other day. I said, "Where are you going?" And it was some cute chain. And I said, "Well, you're paying, right? You asked her out." And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, good." I said, "But you asked her out." And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Good." So
But on
Very
the other
interesting.
spectrum, right? Say, for example, me and Natasha will also had this conversation before. Say, if you do pay, you asked on a date and then you paid for the date, do you feel like now a woman owes you something? Like I, in my personal opinion, like I would be very adamant about going 50-50 because this way I feel like I don't owe anybody anything.
Mhm. Um, I would hope you don't feel like you owe somebody, but I think a lot of women would. Like some don't care. They just don't care. Like you guys are speaking in my mind from a sense of normalcy, but these girls down here in Florida are not normal.
You
They're
heard
not
that,
normal.
Natasha?
They're- it's like you go out and they seem nice, they seem intelligent. Next thing you know, they're making $1 million a year because they're on OnlyFans. You know what I mean? And you're like, wait a minute, you asked me out, you have me paying for everything, but you're making $1 million a year. And so there's a lot of what ifs and could be, should be's, would be's. I think we're 2025, and I think it should be uh, compensated. So let's just say Natasha and I are dating. I've taken her out 3, 4 times. We're still only friends. There's no sex involved, nothing else. Then she should offer to pay at least 1 or 2 times in the forward thinking, because we're friends.
Yeah.
Now, if we're boyfriend and girlfriend, I feel like I should be paying at that, at a certain point. But if we're just friends, the woman should pay at least half the time. That's a
Okay,
But
friendship.
makes sense.
here's
Yeah.
here's another question too, right? According to that same psychologist, I watch a lot of videos with him. He says that there's no such thing as friendship between a man and a woman. And he says if a man stays a friend with a woman, he in the back of his head, he always thinks that there's prospectively sex involved.
Yeah. I don't. I guess maybe I've just been fortunate for my life and I also had a very strong mother. I am very good friends with a handful of women, and I have been with some of them since I'm 7 years old, and I've never, fooled around with them. Again, if I'm not attracted to you, I have no interest. I'm your friend. Like there's definitely a difference. But if a man has an attraction and they're saying they're friends, then the psychiatrist is 100% right. 100% right. And some guys just they don't care who they're going to have sex with. If they can have sex, they're going to have sex with them. So again, it's really the man. It's not all men. You can't bulk everybody into one category.
Right.
You just can't.
Right.
Yeah.
On his side of things, he says that not about just like, being friends as far as like, I congratulate you with like happy birthday or, whatever. He says like more of like on the sense of, I guess, taking care of a woman. Like if she needs something or if she's in distress and she calls you and you're up for like to really help her, I don't know, help her move, something big, not just like, oh, I'm going to give you advice or whatever, something a little bit more that requires an action. So he says that if you have a friend like that who's always ready in the middle of the night to come and rescue you or, do something like that, if you have a friend like that, he says that that friend wants to sleep with you.
Yeah. I could see that because he's going over and beyond. Like what I would do for my buddy, my best friend who's a male, like it would be the same for the girl. So whatever I would do for him, if I'm going to do more for her than him, it's because you want to sleep with her. That's 100.
Yeah.
He's right. He's 100% right. But
Mhm.
so I think that's how you can really balance it out and figure it out.
So we talked about look what men expect from women, like appreciation and all those emotional, and mental, psychological things. What do men give to women?
In a relationship, right? You're talking about
Yes, yes, in relationship, dating, besides just being here, Okay, we're talking about we're not in this generation, the men don't pay for everything. So before an older generation, that was financial support, right? The men came from a financial side, and men felt women made women feel comfortable, and women did everything in the house. Like what men do now for women besides
that
being
women,
there and have
that,
sex?
that women can't do for themselves.
Maybe, yes.
That's the only thing is protection, strength, from a physical. That's all we can do for you guys. And I think we also give you balance, because even if you see some of the questions you ladies asked, your questions have 10 layers to it. and a man breaks things down very simplistically. And I think we give you balance. So
Mm-hmm.
there's an energy, a masculine energy, then there's a balance, then there's almost of a level of sometimes simplicity or common sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I still, like you said before, a woman wants to know she's comfortable and protected. I said, you know, a good guy's going to make you feel that way.
But not only when we're going to a dark alley in the middle of the night and they're like again can you're like boom boom out you protected her, but like in everyday life,
Mm-hmm.
not just in dangerous situations. Like
Mm-hmm.
how does it happen? How do we make a woman feel safe in everyday life?
If I could answer that question, I'd be a woman.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
can't answer that question. That's too deep for me.
That's a good answer.
Okay,
No, I feel like sometimes,
it's an answer.
like Natasha, like you said, exactly. Like we don't need protection now for majority of the time, right? From burglars or animals or whatever, like it used to be many, many thousand years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's more, I think, about like
100 years ago,
right, psychological,
150 years ago. Think
more,
about
more.
it. You were going across the country in wagons.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
not
That's
that long ago. Not a long time ago.
right. It feels like a long time.
Mhm.
Feels like a really long time. It's more about like psychological protection. Like, say, sometimes I would go to my husband and I would be like, and this and that happened, and then the other one, and da 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 da. And he's like, well, here's what you need to do. I'm like, I don't want to hear what I want to do, what I need to do.
Mhm.
Don't give me
And
advice.
there's 1,000% difference between men and women. You just summed it up. Women want to talk. Men only want to talk to fix it.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
want the best advice ever? There it is. Men
Yeah.
don't. We don't want to hear. We want to hear what the problem is, and we're going to tell you how to fix it, and we want you to hear us. Meanwhile, women are speaking to speak. It makes them feel better as they speak and just say all these things, and they want the man to listen. We're different animals.
Yes,
So if you
definitely.
want us to
It's true.
listen, you have to say, Sean, I'm going to rant and rave for about 10 minutes here. I need you to listen to me. And then at the end, I'm going to say, I want your advice or I don't. I just wanted you to listen to me. If you talk to a man like that, he's going to listen and you're going to get what you want.
Right.
But if you just start going nuts, he's going to shut down, tune almost all of it out, and he's going to just hear what he thinks the problem, what he heard it is, and tell you how to fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, here's what you need to do. I'm like, I don't want to hear that.
Right. And then women, oh, I don't know. I went out with one gal over the last year, and she goes, I love how you order the food for the table, and everything you've ordered, I've loved. I've never had a man do that for me. And I said, well, I started that with, do you mind if I order for you? And you said, please do.
Mm-hmm. What do we misunderstand about you? Like some things, like for example, this one that Nadia gave very good example about like women just want to talk and men just want to take fix it, to give
Yeah.
advice. Are there other things like that make our relationship harder, and women make it harder maybe, and make men
Yeah,
make it simple?
you overthink everything. You worry way too much about
Mm-hmm.
little things that don't matter. I think it's because you take on so many tasks that you're made that way. Your genetics are that way. Your brain works a different way than the man's brain works. So if you really just take a breath and you pull yourself back and you say, okay, we're different beings, even though we're both human beings, but we're different beings. How do I have to approach this situation? And if you think about it before you do it, I think you'll be right on the same wavelength as the man right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't. Here's probably the best advice: women can't pretend that a man is a woman. She's got to know that
Yeah.
she's speaking to a man, and his body, his mind, everything's totally different. And
Right.
that's the essence of the issues. And now these women, they don't care. They want it all their way. They do this little bougie stuff and they snap their fingers, whatever, and it's their way or the highway. And there's a lot of women like that. And that's why they're single, because no real man is going to be with a woman like that. A real man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
it's very true about the anxiety. It's very true about the, thinking 10 steps ahead where that might never actually happen. And I see that a lot. I'm thinking about, oh, what's going to happen when my daughter's going to go to college, right? And my husband looks at me, he's like, she's not there yet. I'm like, yes, but I need to think about it.
The only thing you need to think about is having your 529 set up so you don't have to worry about paying for it when she gets there. That's what
Right?
you need to
Right.
think
But
about.
that's what
Everything else, don't worry about.
that's a man's way of thinking. A woman's way of thinking is totally different. We're thinking about where the kid's gonna live, a dorm, or stay in a house.
Mhm.
What's gonna have, like, what she's gonna eat, all of this is in our head 4 years ahead.
And
Non-stop.
that's why he's going crazy. So, my ex would do the same thing. And I said, listen, 6 months out, you start worrying about those things. You start buying the things you know that they're going to need or whatever. I said, but why worry about something now that doesn't matter? What you need to worry about now is teaching them to be an adult, growing maturely, properly, intelligently, safely. So when they do go to school, they know how to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm. It's you're talking about it, and I'm just thinking right now how much we think, and we constantly we're looking for like emotions on for response or men's faces right now. They're like, what are they thinking? What does he think right now? And a man would like listen us or watching TV, and his face would be so concentrated, and we're like, what are you thinking about? And he's like, I don't know, I'm watching football. Like,
I'm thinking
it
that was
would
a
be
really good
nothing.
that was a good tackle. That's what I was thinking, Natasha. It was a really good game.
And we
And
would be like
then he
all over
burst.
the place.
Yeah, yeah,
He's probably divorced me already, and
yeah.
and remarried. And then the man was like, I don't know, just the tire just popped up on my car, so I'm just thinking how where place I can change it. Like it would be completely
Yeah.
simple and different from what we think. So like we're almost finished with our recording. And what would be your piece of advice, Sean, to women dating and entering the new relationship and looking for her perfect partner?
The number one. There is no perfect, so get that out of your mind. We live on Earth. We don't
Okay,
live on heaven.
stretch it out.
So it's what I think you got to do your 80%. What's that best 80% that you think for you, and try and find somebody to fit what you can, because you're never going to find perfect. And then once you do find perfect, ladies, you're going to get bored at sometimes, and people change and evolve, and things are going to happen. Who gets sick? Who's this? So don't overanalyze it. Find somebody that you are happy with, that makes you happy, that you're compatible with. And for me, again, if you see where I started, I'm going to end it. It's about the energy.
Mm-hmm. And Nadia, what is your takeaway from today's conversation?
I want to laugh.
I really like the feedback as far as, if you approach a man with a thought in your head that this is a different species, you might be actually getting a different result, which is true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
If because a lot of the time, and I do that all the time, I find myself, talking to my husband from the standpoint of my thinking, of what I know, of what I'm thinking about, what I have ruminated for the past 3 hours before I started talking to him, right? But he's not there. He wasn't in my head following the train of thought. So definitely, if I start more with like, opening, where is this coming from, right, instead of just like blah and attacking him with everything that was cooking in the noggin, I think that's going to be a lot better conversation than not. And also, I really would hate to be out on a dating scene. I told Natasha the same thing. I would hate to be out on a dating scene right now, because it still sounds very complicated, despite the fact that, yes,
The weirdest part is I've actually met some ladies that I felt very, very compatible with, and it goes nowhere. And I think it's because of the dating apps and the excessive amount of attention that the women are getting from these apps. And there's, like, my friend Ed said it best. He goes, Sean, you might talk to 3 girls, but there's 300 guys talking to that woman. And it's
a woman's world, Natasha.
Yeah. What do you want to, Sean? Like we have a few minutes. What do you want to say women then, what advice would you give them besides what you said before? Like, do they give you a feedback? Do they talk to you more on the app? Like, how do they approach to this
Just say everything out.
building relationship? Like
For-
being
for-
honest?
so some of these women, they want to talk and text a little bit, then they want to FaceTime, then they want to go meet for coffee or dinner or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some women, me personally, like if I'm already texting you a couple times, I want to talk on the phone, and then I want to meet you because again, for me, it's all about the energy. Like you could look pretty here, you can seem all great, like the gal with the coffee, right? And I got there, the
Yeah.
energy wasn't there. I'm done. So I don't want to go to dinner and waste 2 hours and spend now $300 for a dinner for somebody I don't even want to be with. I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. So I think a couple texts, phone call, maybe a FaceTime. But if the phone calls feel good and you feel the energy, just go meet for coffee, go for a walk, go have a quick drink, and then build it from there.
Okay, one more thing about dating sites. I know it's a little bit longer, but what are there? I heard that men are getting so frustrated with the sites that there are a lot of fake people there, and I wanted to ask this question. Like people, women lie about their age. Sometimes they ask you to buy Bitcoin and like things like that. And what the percentage of this fake profiles, and what completely throws you off from that profile besides like political views or something, maybe like a picture in a bathroom, maybe like too revealing picture or picture with kids, like because there's a lot of things for me, for example, that I'm completely swiping left if I see it on the picture, for example.
Yeah, if a woman in her profile is not showing herself, there's a problem. I also see when every single picture, the woman's with other people. And so that means she's got a problem with herself, right? Insecure, there's a problem there, you can tell. When a woman makes her profile so revealing, you're like, if that's who you present yourself to everybody, then that's who you are. And I don't want to be with a woman like that. So those are three immediate swipes gone right away.
Okay, yeah, very interesting, because sometimes you don't know how you match. And I know for me, like if I see, for example, a man with a small child and it has grandchildren on a picture, to me it's like kind of a little bit creepy. Like I'm not, I don't want to see a man with small children, and I'm not going to date your, grandchild. I'm going to date you. Or they're like on a golf course with a
That's
bunch of
funny you
bodies.
said that because other women would say, "Oh, he loves his family." I think
Yeah,
more
see?
women would say, "Look at the he's a grandpa and he's there with his grandson. That's beautiful, and he loves family." So I think most women would look at it that way instead of the way you just said it.
What
I
about
wouldn't.
you, Nadia? How would you take that? A man with a little child on the dating side. Oh, my battery dying.
Um, well, I have a child, so I can't really be discriminating like that.
Would you put her on a dating site? That's my
No,
point. It's a dating site.
I would not put her picture on it. Like I would be honest about it that I do have a child, but I wouldn't put her picture out like that because
Yes.
that's her personal life too. That I can't do that to her in the first place. But I would be open to say that I do have a kid. I don't think
yeah, of course, absolutely. But
that's not fair.
Todd, you said a couple of things. So I've the profile actually, they'll find the people that are cheats and liars and thieves.
Okay.
They don't get them all the time, but they kick them off and they give you an alert that this person's fraud or whatever. Hopefully the app finds the fraud and those people that are trying to do illegal things. But you've got to keep your guard up. And I've had only one time in 2 years a woman not look like her picture. But I've had women, their picture that they're showing was from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's happened a couple times.
It's a common thing I've heard. Yeah.
So.
All right. Wow. That was amazing, actually. Yeah, that was amazing.
We got a lot of insights. I love it.
A lot. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was absolutely great. A lot of useful information, and that hopefully some of us can implement.
All right, guys.
You're amazing. It was very, it was great conversation. Love it. And see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.